We have a winner in the Browns 2026 quarterback derby. Even though it's not official, can't stress that enough. It's not official. We have a winner. Todd Monken pulled the old switcheroo on us yesterday. Yeah, he did. I don't want to say he lied to us because I don't think that that's fair. But he lied to us. Mary Kay Cabot.
The Cleveland Browns may not have officially named a starting quarterback yet, but after what happened at training camp this week, it feels like we already have our answer. And if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, you're probably not going to like it. For weeks, Browns fans have been watching one of the most closely followed quarterback battles in the NFL. Every practice mattered. Every rep mattered. Every throw was analyzed. The coaching staff kept rotating quarterbacks, giving fans hope that this was a genuine competition. One day, it was Deshaun Watson with the first team. The next day, it was Shedeur Sanders. Then back to Watson. Then back to Sanders. The pattern seemed obvious.
It was the first bite you heard in the open there. Specifically asking, it's a daily question because we just want to confirm. We know what the rotation is. One day it's Deshaun. Next day it's Shedeur. Back to Deshaun. Back to Shedeur. Back to Deshaun. Back to Shedeur. Okay? We get the pattern. Well, yesterday was supposed to be a Shedeur day with the ones. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Todd Monken wanted to see Deshaun Watson.
Everything appeared balanced. Everything appeared fair. But then something changed. A day that was supposed to belong to Shedeur Sanders suddenly became another day for Deshaun Watson. Head coach Todd Monken explained that he wanted to see Watson with certain personnel groupings. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. But reporters who have attended every practice weren't buying it. According to multiple observers, there was nothing unique about those personnel groupings. Nothing different. Nothing special. The translation? Monken simply wanted Watson taking first-team reps. And that's where the entire quarterback conversation changed. Because this wasn't the first time it happened. Earlier in the week, Sanders was also expected to receive significant work with the starters. Instead, Watson's opportunities quietly increased.
With some personnel groupings. Now, as somebody who has been to every training camp practice, there was nothing different about the personnel groupings yesterday. Put that in the old coach translator, Nick. He just wanted Deshaun Watson to take the one-team reps. Good morning. I know this is a very difficult day for you. We're going to try and get you through the next 4 hours here.
We're going to need to get me through the next 4 weeks, potentially 4 months, Daryl Ryder. I want to start the show. Good morning to you as well. Hand up, I was wrong.
At first, it seemed like a coincidence. Then it happened again. And when something repeats itself, it stops being a coincidence. It becomes a pattern. Now suddenly, the quarterback competition doesn't look so competitive anymore. The reality is that coaches reveal their intentions through actions, not press conferences. They don't always need a dramatic announcement. They don't need a giant headline. Sometimes they simply start giving one quarterback more opportunities than the other. And that's exactly what appears to be happening in Cleveland. What's fascinating is that many fans don't want to accept this possibility because they desperately want Shedeur Sanders to succeed. And honestly, that's understandable. Sanders is exciting.
When we brought back the Sunday show after the Cleveland Browns pregame tailgate show that I was lucky enough to be on with Jake Volnick last preseason and into the regular season, I told you, Daryl, that there was no way that they would put that guy, Deshaun Watson, back on the field this season for the Cleveland Browns. I said they wouldn't do it. I said they had a whole long off season to find a quarterback, whether it be via trade, via free agency, via draft, because there was that.
He's young. He's talented. He's brought energy and optimism to a fan base that's desperate for a long-term answer at quarterback. But wanting a player to be ready and a player actually being ready are two completely different things. Throughout training camp, Browns coaches have repeatedly hinted at areas where Sanders still needs development. Not because they dislike him, not because they're sabotaging him, and not because they don't believe in his future. They're saying it because playing quarterback in the NFL is unbelievably difficult. In fact, Browns quarterback coaches have openly discussed how important processing speed is at the position. Can a quarterback identify coverage quickly? Can he recognize defensive fronts? Can he diagnose blitzes?
Undercurrent of rumbling that they might seriously entertain putting Deshaun Watson at QB1 this coming season, despite finishing last season with Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Todd Monken gets hired as coach. There was a little bit more rumbling about Deshaun Watson into Indy at the Combine. And I came in here after the Combine in Indianapolis. And I remember before we went on air, I got home that Friday from Cleveland. I didn't actually get to talk to you that Saturday about how my experience in Indianapolis was. But Sunday morning when I came in here,
Can he understand whether the defense is playing man or zone? Can he make the correct decision in a matter of seconds? These are the details that separate NFL starters from developmental prospects. Fans often focus on arm talent. Coaches focus on everything else. And that's where Sanders still appears to be learning. By all accounts, he has made tremendous progress. He's moving better in the pocket. He's avoiding negative plays. He's learning when to throw the ball away. He's breaking habits that may have worked in college, but won't work consistently in the NFL. That's real growth. That's development. That's exactly what the Browns wanted to see. But development doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it takes months. Sometimes it takes years. And that's where many fans struggle, because modern sports culture demands immediate results. If a rookie flashes talent, people want him starting immediately. If a young quarterback makes a few impressive throws, people assume he's ready for Sundays. The Browns coaching staff clearly sees things differently.
before we went on air, I looked you dead in your eyes, and I said, I need to drop the act. The Shedeur Sanders thing is over. Everybody in the league thinks that this kid can't play. That's exactly what I told you. I heard from so many people, everybody that I talked to while I was out there, that the league just does not think highly of Shedeur Sanders. And a lot of people were saying the Todd Monken hire was the worst thing that possibly could have happened to the kid.
They're evaluating every detail, every read, every decision, every pre-snap adjustment, every interaction in the huddle, every aspect of operating a professional offense. And according to those evaluations, Watson appears to have the edge. Now, before anyone celebrates, let's be clear about something. This is not exactly a victory lap for Watson supporters, because Watson hasn't dominated training camp. Far from it. Even many people who believe he'll start week one acknowledge that he hasn't been spectacular. There have been missed throws. There have been mistakes. There have been frustrating moments. Nobody is pretending otherwise. The argument isn't that Watson has been amazing. The argument is that the coaching staff trusts him more right now. There's a huge difference. Trust matters, especially a quarterback. A coach can live with a physical mistake. What coaches struggle to accept are mental mistakes. Missed reads, incorrect protections, poor decisions, communication errors. Those mistakes can destroy drives before they even begin. And several comments from the coaching staff suggest that these areas remain part of Sanders' learning process. Again, that's not an insult. It's reality. He's a young quarterback adapting to an NFL system, a difficult NFL system. And remember, Sanders has essentially had to learn two different offenses in a short period of time. He spent time learning one system, then a coaching change happened. Now he's learning another. That's not easy for any young quarterback. It's a challenge, one that requires patience. The problem is that patience isn't something Browns fans have a lot of experience with. This franchise has spent decades searching for quarterback stability. Every potential answer becomes a source of hope. Every young quarterback becomes the next possible savior. And when hope meets impatience, emotions take over. That's exactly what's happening right now. Many fans aren't reacting to training camp reps. They're reacting to what those reps represent. They fear that if Watson starts week one, it means Sanders has failed. But that's not necessarily true. Quarterback development isn't linear. Being the backup today doesn't mean you'll never be the starter tomorrow. Some of the best quarterbacks in NFL history spent time learning before taking over. The key question isn't whether Sanders starts week one. The key question is whether he's improving. And by most accounts, he absolutely is. That should matter more than anything else. Still, it's impossible to ignore what happened this week. The timing feels significant. Training camp is entering a different phase. The preseason is approaching. Game preparation is becoming more realistic. Teams start acting less like they're experimenting and more like they're preparing for actual football games. When that transition happens, coaching decisions become more revealing. And right now, those decisions seem to favor Watson. The biggest clue may be something Todd Monken said months ago. He explained that quarterbacks who continue receiving first-team reps eventually become first-team quarterbacks. At the time, it sounded like a general coaching philosophy. Today, it sounds like a roadmap. Because Watson keeps getting those opportunities, even on days when Sanders was expected to receive them. And when actions repeatedly tell the same story, it's hard to ignore the message. That's why many observers now believe the competition is effectively over. Not officially, not publicly, but practically. Watson appears to be moving toward becoming the Browns' Week 1 starter. Whether fans like it or not. Whether the organization announces it or not. Whether social media agrees or not. The evidence is becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss. Of course, football has a funny way of changing everything. Injuries happen. Performance changes. Unexpected opportunities emerge. The quarterback who starts Week 1 isn't always the quarterback who finishes the season. The Browns know that better than anyone. So even if Watson opens the year as QB1, that doesn't mean Sanders' story is finished. In many ways, it may just be beginning, because development isn't about winning August headlines. It's about becoming ready when your opportunity arrives. And when that opportunity finally comes, the Browns need Sanders to be fully prepared. Not rushed, not forced, prepared. That's ultimately the lesson here. The quarterback competition may be nearing its conclusion, but the development of Shedeur Sanders is far from over. And for the Browns, that long-term development could end up being far more important than whoever takes the first snap of Week 1.